In the Travel and Earth Mysteries Society field trip to Waltham Abbey area in August 2004, Tony Charlton, who sought out many ancient stones in the area, showed us a hold stone near Copped Hall on a track adjacent to a farm. This was found to be the centre of a number of good lays, one of which goes through the Eleanor Cross at Waltham Cross, which we also saw on the trip. This was one of the crosses erected by Edward I on the funeral route of his wife Queen Eleanor. Copped Hall is an 18th century house built on the site of a 16th century one. In 1537 the abbot gave Copped Hall to Henry VIII in the vain hope of saving Waltham Abbey from being dissolved. This failed to appease Henry, and the abbey was dissolved in 1540. Henry VIII visited Copped Hall but never lived there. In 1548 his son Edward VI allowed the future Queen Mary to live at Copped Hall, where she remained to a large degree a prisoner, as she was a Catholic. The Copped Hall stone. The lay from the stone to the cross goes through a section of coincident road west of Waltham Cross, the Eleanor Cross, Waltham Abbey and the adjoining multi-junction, the Stone and then Epping Church, High Ongar Church and a main crossroads at Writtle. The track leading to the stone is also on quite a good lay. Coming through a church in Southgate to pass through the stone and along the track, it then goes through a stone marked as a milestone in Winter's Wood, across tracks on a Roman road and a moat at Newhouse, before reaching Beecham Roding Church, where there is also a stone. The church is 16th century. The stone has a legend of moving stones familiar to lay hunters. This tells that the stone stood on a hilltop some distance from the intended site of the church. When the stone was dragged down to be incorporated into the church structure, it returned overnight to the hilltop. This happened 3 times, and eventually the church was relocated and built on the hilltop so that the stone could remain undisturbed. From here the lay continues through a crossroads at Good Easter to Pleshey Church and Castle. The castle is a 12th century Norman motte encircled by a moat, an impressive structure with a feeling there may have been an earlier mound. The church is a 13th century site, and there is also a retreat house dating from then, and Pleshey was the centre of the arts and chivalry at this time. The lay continues to a crossroads tracks at Little Leys, and a coincident road stretch at Cressing. There is another stone in the churchyard at Lambourne. This church is also on a lay going to the Copped Hall stone, continuing from Lambourne to a small church at Thaden Boyce to skirt the edge of Ambresbury Banks. This is an Iron Age plateau fort in Epping Forest with impressive banks and ditches. It's situated on a ridge overlooking the Lee Valley and has its own stream which rises inside the fort, which measures 4.5 hectares. From here the lay continues to the Copped Hall stone, then Broxbourne Church, a crossroads tracks at Hewn Wood, closely mean following tracks and a multi-junction at Langley, and a crossroads at Temple End near Hitchin. It then reaches the Knocking Knoll at Pegsdon, which is a long barrow, although it looks like a round barrow because it straddles the county boundary and the Hertfordshire side has been ploughed. On the Modern Antiquarian website, Rhiannon tells us that in her book Albion, Jennifer Westwood says there is an old man inside who knocks to be let out. She mentions the Hart's Illustrated Review for 1894, which says a British chieftain is buried here with his treasure chest. From time to time he knocks thrice on it to make sure it's still there. The hill is also known as Money Knoll. Westwood also suggests the name could come from Cynllun, the Welsh for a bump or small hillock. Finally the lay goes through a moat at Apsley End. The fourth lay through the stone goes through a coincident road at Chingford, a crossroads east of Waltham Abbey, the Copped Hall stone, a crossroads tracks at Epping Upland, a church at Harlow, Shearing Church, Takeley Main Crossroads, Bamber Crossroads, and this remains of the 12th century Cistercian Abbey at Tilty, of which the nearby parish church incorporates the Gatehouse Chapel. The remains of the monastery include some fragments of the external walls of the church and part of the western range of the cloister.